Well, good day, viewers. Today we have a 2017 Buick Enclave. And the story is the customer was launching a boat or taking a boat out of the water on the long weekend in July, just last week, and went a little deep in the water, and since then the vehicle won't run. I'm looking to see if there's any signs of water in the trunk area. Nothing in here. This is not wet. I hear the fuel pump run when I turn the key on. Let's do a network scan and see what codes it has to offer. Get you cut on it for mileage. Well, see, the check engine light is on. Let's try and start it. It's firing like it's got a fuel problem. Now, he said it ran enough to get it out of the water, but then it quit after. So let's do a network code scan. Misfire detected. System disabled, information stored. Well, that's secondary. Electronic control unit hardware failure. I hear the fuel pump running. Rear temperature control feedback circuit. Airflow control rear feedback. Liftgate module, keyless entry. I wonder if it's got the fuel pump driver back there and if it's got water inside of it. Amplifier signal circuit. Is that the end of it? Well, soon. 24 modules. No communication codes. Random cylinder misfire. Well, that would be concurrent with low fuel pressure. Let's see if we can see the fuel pressure in the engine control module. I'll look around here. So this is desired fuel rail pressure, and this is actual fuel rail pressure. This is low pressure fuel pressure and desired low pressure fuel pressure. Let's see what we get. Well, the fuel pump's running. Desired and actual fuel pressure seemed normal. Let's take a fuel sample. He said he thought he got water in the gas tank, but I said the tank is pretty much sealed. You'd have to be totally submerged for a while to get water in the fuel tank, unless it went in through the vent somehow. Let's take a fuel sample. So I took the air induction system off to gain access to the low pressure fuel line going into the high pressure fuel pump. Right back there you can see the coupler, and I've got a clean container and a hose here, and I'm going to cycle the key and see what comes out. So I'm using the scan tool to run the fuel pump. Damn, spruce bugs landed right on my neck. Anyways, continue. Look at the size of that bugger. Fly into that gas can. Anyways, fuel pump, enable. Continue. It says fuel lines must be connected while I'm trying to take a fuel sample. Anyways, you can see the fuel in here is kind of cloudy. It's full of water. Yeah, it's 50% water. What's with all the damn spruce bugs? Well, we're going to run the fuel pump with a jumper wire somehow. Jeez. My pets. And try to pump the tank out. You can see the water in the container here. It's about 50% water. Oh well. He's trying to develop a hydrogen fuel cell maybe. I don't know. Oh, we got just over half a tank. Wonderful. Well, I'll get a battery charger on this thing. So I'm trying to look for a convenient way to make this fuel pump run continuously so I can pump all the gas out of the tank. And then we'll put some gasoline antifreeze in it and fresh gasoline. And being summertime, it'll probably be okay. But there's no fuel pump relay. There's a fuel pump driver module. This is the wiring diagram here. And so we have to find the fuel pump driver. I think it's under the rear. And bypass the fuel pump driver to make the fuel pump run. Connect pin 1 to pin, let's see, blow this up so I can see it. Because that command of running the fuel pump with the scan tool only lasts for a few seconds, and I would be there for a long time trying to pump the gas out of the tank like that. I was hoping there would be a fuel pump relay, we could just bypass the relay, but no such luck. Well, I'm going to find the fuel pump driver and we'll figure out what we're going to do. So it says the fuel pump driver module is under the rear of the vehicle, rear of the fuel tank. I crawled underneath the back and it is there. It's fairly accessible. I tried to print the wiring diagram a couple of times here, but I got to get a better view of this diagram. For some reason it's screwing up. We're going to disconnect that fuel pump driver and bypass it at the driver. So at the fuel pump driver module, I'm going to jump the red white wire coming from pin 32, which should be a heavy wire, to pin 47, which is gray. It's funny, they still use a gray wire for the fuel pump. And we're going to ground pin 16. So let's go down underneath the car and have a look. So let's have a look underneath here, see where that fuel pump driver is. Way up there. I got the connector hanging down. I jumped the red to the gray and the pink to ground. And if I ground this at the bumper here, the fuel pump runs. Don't even have to have the key on. That's pretty shitty looking gasoline. Yeah, get a clean container to put it in. Well, we'll see how long this takes to pump out a half a tank of gas. Dumping it in a used oil container. Looks pretty crappy, but let's get a battery charger on this thing too. It's been running for about 5 minutes and it actually looks pretty clear now. But we're going to pump the tank right empty, or as far down as the fuel pump will drain it. And we're going to put a couple of bottles of gasoline antifreeze in it and some fresh gas and see what happens. Well, about 10 minutes. It's slowing down now. So I put in 5 gallons of fresh gasoline and 5 of these little bottles of clean flow gasoline antifreeze. And I ran the pump to flush the line out. Let's see if it'll start. There's no return line on that high pressure system. So the only way out is through the injectors. Well, there it's running again. I'm going to let it run and just idle. Hopefully purge the injection lines. Starting to miss. Flashing check engine light indicates a misfire, but that's to be expected until this fuel rail purges. I personally don't think that's going to do any damage to the high pressure pump. I mean, gasoline is less of a lubricant than water is. It's not like it's a diesel. But we will see. Clear the codes out of the computer and let's see what happens. So I'm going to do a network code clear. It says key on, engine off. I'm pretty sure I can do it running. We'll see. It's running fine. Seems to have cleared up. I think the vent solenoid must have been open when he was backed in the lake to load the boat or offload the boat. I'm not sure if he was taking it in or putting it out, but I'm going to lift it up and have a look underneath, see exactly where the vent solenoid outlet is. Usually it's up by the filler pipe. Let's go in the engine controls, data, fuel system data. Look at desired and actual high pressure fuel pump. Fuel pressure PSI, 60 PSI. Fuel rail pressure sensor is 580. And desired fuel rail pressure is 580. And desired low pressure fuel pressure is 57, 58. So seems to be running fine now. I guess that's all we're going to run on this one. I'm going to look at it, lift it up on the hoist and have a look at it, but that's it for now. Thanks for watching. So underneath this Buick, there's the fuel pump driver, nice and conveniently located. So what I did was I jumped the red wire to the gray wire and grounded the pink wire at the connector, and that runs the fuel pump. You could also do it by supplying ground and power to this, power to the gray wire and ground to the pink wire would run the fuel pump. This goes off to the fuel pump. I'm looking for the vent line, and this looks like the vent line here, and it goes up to the filler neck. So if he was above the tire and above the back tire in water and it was venting, it could have drawn water in through the vent system. He also mentioned a coolant leak, and I don't see any signs of any coolant, dried coolant anywhere on this engine. A little bit of oil sweat, but nothing I would worry about. Free undercoating. Alright. That's it for now.